Yeah, I found YouTube is such a... It just doesn't seem very user-friendly.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be doing something wrong for it to be this slow. Takes forever.
We're starting season 2.
Oh, we're rolling?
Yeah.
Sneak attack.
Yeah. So our videos are not our videos. A lot of our recordings are starting to be up on YouTube now. So if you guys want to check us out there. Because we're working on a lot of things, which we're going to talk about today, but one of them is having more, not just the podcast, but having more stuff on YouTube, I think, in general. Using that as a platform. And we're going to get into a lot of the other stuff we've been working on.
Yeah, so we got some nice branding done on the podcast, so we actually have a look for you guys to kind of keep track of.
It looks pretty good in there amongst all the other ones, I must say.
She killed it, yeah. Nicole helped us with that. Again, she's helped me with stuff in the past, and yeah, her branding is top-notch. And like meeting with her when we met with her, she's like asking us what we want it to look like. It was just a couple potatoes. It's like, what? That's what we need you for. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember if we ever talked about that, about our meeting with her, because there was definitely some specific questions that we had never thought about, and I didn't even have an answer to most of them. It was kind of like, really like, what do you want people to feel or think or act when they see your stuff or listen to your stuff? So as an example, I think she said something like, think about like Starbucks. How do you like feel when you walk into Starbucks? What's the vibe? I don't know. I'm just happy there to get a coffee.
Yeah.
Happy to be there to get a coffee.
Yeah, but she notices the things that I guess we don't. But she compared it to kind of like Tim Hortons. And I mean, when you compare two different companies that do the same, do similar things, I mean, why can Starbucks charge more money for their coffee? I guess it's because of the feel when you walk in, and it's just a little higher quality, whatever.
Just don't always think of that stuff, I guess.
No, never. I never think about it until she brought it up, for sure. But we got 4 episodes at this point uploaded to YouTube.
It's kind of a tedious process, right?
Yeah. So we got 37?
There's
from season 1 to get on there, so we'll get them there.
It'll be nice once it is just a once weekly thing and not having to bulk upload all of them all at once. But if there is anyone listening and a more efficient way to get them onto YouTube without it taking like an hour or 2 at a time, let us know.
Yeah, please, because it's so slow. So slow.
Big files though, so maybe there is no other way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe
we'll do some... Right now it's just the audio on there, but maybe in the future we'll do some... we talked about this, maybe doing the odd session whiteboard style maybe.
Yeah.
It's like an important concept that having visuals would help with. I think that'd be cool if we have a chalk up or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then I think for you guys listening, it'll feel more almost like a webinar at that point than a podcast. Totally. So I think that has a little bit more value for you guys, and adding the visual of like Chet said, the whiteboard or the chalkboard or whatever we end up using, so you guys can make notes at home instead of just going off our voice. I think will be super, super helpful.
We'll definitely have something like that.
Yeah, but that's another thing we got in the works. You got a lot of seminars that you've done over there, and you got some coming up. You got your neuro nutrition series.
Yeah,
what's it called? Sorry.
No, that's basically what I call it. Okay. Yeah, neuro nutrition training seminars, I like to call them. But I've been working on a lot of different topics, subjects, if you will, and so I did one with the staff at Herc's, the supplement store.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a cool one, actually. We're going to do a lot more of those because you can only do so much. And it was probably 2 hours, but I felt like it was 20 minutes. Like you can only do so much. So we're definitely going to do a bunch more of those. So it's just, like I said, it's training the staff on kind of like all the leading trends, really making sure they're up to date on things like, fasting, ketogenic diets, supplements, yeah, but also kind of like the whole like metabolic burnout thing, if you will, if you want to call it that, is another hot topic that we talked a little bit about. So this idea of like just more, and people are kind of getting to these like plateaus, not being able to lose any more weight, always tired, wondering what's going on. So it's educating them on issues like that, because customers come into the store obviously and say, you know, I have this, what would you recommend? So obviously if the employee is more educated about the concept in the first place, they can not only make a sale, but before that, even educate the customer on what's actually going on and kind of the truth behind the concept, whatever it is they're talking about. And that's important, because they're not only are they earning the customer's trust, but they're also steering them in the right direction. They're not misleading them just to make a sale. So it's a good thing. Yeah,
that's awesome. I think it feels like to me what Herx is doing, and I think what other supplement companies in this city particularly are doing a little bit more of, is spending the time focusing on more of providing a service rather than just selling a product.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, because like the gyms, and a lot of people can relate to that, I'll kind of say some supplement companies, you're going to walk in and it's going to be like a big box experience where it's like it's a run of the mill. Here, slap a membership on somebody for cheap, sell them maybe something they don't need, like tanning, you know, and then send them out the door, compared to going to more of a private gym where you get the one-on-one care and attention from an educated coach or manager or whoever you're dealing with that time. Just get a better experience and actually learn things that are going to help you get better, instead of just being sold on something. So, and I don't know if very many supplement companies do that, but I mean, you're the guy to help educate their people, their employees, and
it's out there. I've heard of it, but it's definitely not a common thing, and it's been fun so far, and I'm excited to do more for them. Shout out to Derek too, by the way. Love that guy. He's awesome. Even just reading some of his answers to some of his questions that he gets on Instagram. And this is even kind of like before I got to know him. Just from reading some of those, you get a good vibe. The example that comes to mind, the one day, I don't know, it was just basic supplement questions on there, but one of them was coming from like a 14 or 15-year-old kid or something, being like, which pre-workout would you recommend? And he just said straight up, like, look, kid, like, you probably don't need one. You're really young. Like, you should be manufacturing enough energy naturally on your own that you don't need to get into pre-workout, especially at your young age. He could have, like, that's so easy for him just to say, this is our new pre-workout. This is the top seller. This is the best option for you. Here you go.
Right.
But he was intentionally like not making a sale to give the right answer. And I think that's rare, and that it's valuable too. Because I will say the other thing is, there's still, you mentioned these, like the big box brand name supplement stores, whatever, we don't really specifically have to name them, but I know for certain that many of them still follow an agenda where it's customer comes in asking for this specific supplement, you sell them this one first, then this one, then this one. And that's how it works.
Yeah, I've experienced this. It's the protein fish oil multivitamin trio.
Yeah,
is usually the one that
I believe that from a probably specific company too.
Usually from their company.
Yeah, especially if it's GNC for sure, which is the shittiest product in the store. By the way, I'm okay to say that. I don't really care.
Yeah,
it's the truth.
Yeah, all you have to do is look at the scoop size and the.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about this before.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous.
It's out there. Yeah, so thankfully there's guys like Derek out there that are doing the good things. And I mean, not only is he awesome at what he does, but he's awesome in his involvement in the community. And he'll never every time we ask them, and we're asking them for things. We're asking them to sponsor events. We're asking them to take time and pay an employee to put up a booth at the gym, and every single time it's yes. There's no question. It's what time.
It's amazing.
It's awesome every time. So
yeah,
shout out to Herx if you want to be educated, and then also you're looking for products. That's going to be the place to go.
Yeah, they're not sponsoring our podcast, by the way. We're just saying this because we feel this way. So
yeah.
That reminds me, though, we also did a seminar in the summer.
Yeah, we did.
This was, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago now. But what was your favorite thing to talk about during that, or maybe like the one topic you talked about that you got the best feedback on, or?
The one thing for sure that stood out for people was the offensive progression.
Yeah,
idea.
I like that too.
Just bringing some awareness to some common mistakes, completely unintentional and unaware mistakes. Really, it's not that anyone's doing anything maliciously to their athletes, like as a coach to athlete relationship, or the athletes. I can see why somebody would get so excited about the potential for progress quickly by jumping into something that's too big. So just as a quick example, like a offensive progression would be, let's use chest to bar for example. So if you're working with an athlete who's still working on the skill of kipping chest to bar and butterfly chest to bar, especially, and you throw a workout with 100 chest to bar in it for them to practice their chest to bar. So you have 100 reps in one session. That's very offensive to that athlete for a number of reasons. They're still trying to master their skill. They probably don't have the prerequisite volume built up to ensure that their joints are going to be able to handle that sort of volume and the impact and dynamic movement of a kipping chest to bar. So we just talked about the kind of the hierarchy of skill development in the sport of fitness, trying to follow as closely as possible the progression from skill to intensity to volume to density and then mixed modal. So the 5 pieces there, and just trying to drive that home in multiple different scenarios. And using the seminar, I was using the International Functional Fitness testable elements as examples, and then building off of that. So that I use that structure because it is exactly that, as it has some sort of structure to talk about.
Yeah.
It's difficult. And one of them is mixed modal, which is CrossFit. Traditional CrossFit workouts, for the most part, are mixed modal conditioning in some way. So there is that example in there. But to make a whole seminar off of CrossFit, like the brand CrossFit and the CrossFit Games and those style workouts that you'll see in the open sanctionals now in the games, it's too abstract. It's too quote unquote unknown and unknowable to even talk about. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the Functional Fitness Federation is bringing a lot of clarity to that and allowing these conversations to happen so that people actually know what the hell they're trying to improve on, what is lacking and what they need to focus on in their training. So it was really fun. I liked it.
Yeah.
That was my first seminar ever. I've never done a seminar like that before.
They're fun, eh?
So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Kind of addicting.
Yeah.
I'm really even just trying to push those in my own brand big time.
Yeah, and you are. And they're filling up like crazy.
Yeah, it's trending in the right way. So that's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah.
What was I thinking there? So we hosted a functional fitness competition too at West London CrossFit recently. When I say we, I mean West London CrossFit. I didn't do any of the setup and organization. You did most of the work, you and Kayla. Some others were instrumental as well. Sorry if I'm missing them. But that was, this is just coming from me as more of really like mostly a spectator, but also understood a little bit about the rationale and setup and why it was different from a traditional CrossFit competition and all that. So I knew a little bit of the background for sure, but even just from a spectator perspective, like that was a super cool event. I thought that was,
that's good.
It was wicked. It was definitely, and I think all the athletes would certainly agree too. it was certainly unique. It wasn't just your average CrossFit competition. Like one thing that really stood out to me was, well, for one, I would say it was a lot higher volume than your average competition. Like the events were a lot longer, which I thought was really cool, because then it's also kind of like a war of attrition, not just who's the best in this event. It's how well did you recover from the earlier events. And then obviously you have that individual specific test for each realm, if you will, and you'd be able to explain that better than I, but for each testable element, those are unique, specific, but also, like I said, kind of like really build up one to the next, and you feel that last event in the next one more so than you would from just a regular competition.
Right, yeah, and especially when we squeeze it all into one day like we did.
Yes.
Usually that setup would be over a 2-day event, so it would feel somewhat different. And of course, you notice the recovery between event stuff, because that's your gym, right? Like you're noticing how people are recovering. And
there was a lot of, especially dudes, who had noticeable, terrible leg cramps,
massive quad cramps,
which I've never
out of
seen
control
before.
On handstand push-ups, right? That kick just got to them, and it was because the earlier events had nothing to do, obviously, with that bodyweight endurance test. But yeah, I mean, you can't have that, and that's nothing that you can really do in the moment to really make that better either.
No, it definitely takes some time. Even if you're slugging electrolytes right afterwards, it's not going to be immediate. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a cool experience. I mean, the setup and organization really wasn't that much. It ended up being a smaller event in terms of registration, which I totally expected. The expectations for the event for me, when I was sitting down and thinking about it, was literally just to raise awareness of the Canadian Functional Fitness Federation in the London community. That was it. I didn't care how many people signed up. I didn't care how much money we made. I didn't care. Which, by the way, all the money that was left over after paying the athletes on the podium prize money and buying prizes and things like that, it's all being donated to the Canadian Functional Fitness Federation, and anyone can donate to that federation at any time on their website. Just a little plug for those guys, because it's a nonprofit. We're trying to get recognized by the IOC, so you can't. It's a nonprofit organization. They run off of donations and things like that, and that's it. So that's what we're going to do with that stuff. But I think from that perspective of awareness, it did okay. We, as a team at West London CrossFit, just crushed the social media stuff that day. Like, we've never had social media impact numbers like that ever. Like, we had over 60,000 impressions during that day. We had 55 website clicks. We had...
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And people just crushing it. They know who they are.
And when you get all the athletes posting about it too, that's big.
Yeah. So we had some people not from our gym posting at our gym, West London, and then that gets shared by Canadian Functional Fitness Federation, and that got shared by the International Functional Fitness Federation. So it's like that, it's reaching where we were hoping that was going to reach. And I was in contact with Ian from Canadian Functional Fitness Federation pretty consistently through the planning process. A lot of it was just I didn't want to step on any toes, and I didn't want to make something that wasn't necessary. But I also wanted to see how we could pull this thing off and hope for more involvement in the future of the development of the organization, the federation, and then also just the sport in general. Because, like you said, I wholeheartedly believe this is the future of competitive fitness. I think the legitimacy of the officials that will, like they're called them TOs, not judges, but it's extensive training for them. I think the quality of minds that are at the top of the federations is where it needs to be. Like, we have the most brilliant minds in Canadian fitness and in American fitness and in all the other
plus the minds
countries
that you're competing with in CrossFit is mush.
I mean,
so it seems.
when you look at the top and your leadership is a complete shit show. Like, it's hard to get behind that, you know?
Yes.
Whereas Canadian Functional Fitness, I mean, you've got Ian Bennett, we got Jason Noel, we got Mike Fitzgerald. Like, those, if you haven't heard of them, just look them up. Their resumes speak for themselves. On the American side, you got James Fitzgerald, the first ever fittest man on earth. He won the first ever CrossFit Games. And if you've ever listened to him speak about anything, he is one of the greatest visionaries alive right now in fitness, in my opinion. He is thinking generations ahead of where we're at right now. And I don't think a lot of people have been able to get that far in the planning of what this whole thing is going to look like, 100 years down the road, because fitness is relatively new, really. I mean, competitive fitness has really only been around. You could argue the 60s. You could argue before that with strongmen and weightlifting and things like that, but it definitely wasn't mainstream. So say mainstream like the 60s, 70s, maybe with bodybuilding. It's so new. We have no idea what we're doing. People can't even define what fitness is. Nobody even knows why they're doing it. People will say, "Oh, I want to lose weight." It's like, well, that's not the question I was asked. I didn't ask what result you want. The question was why even do fitness? Why even do it? And it's an abstract idea, and it's not as simple as like, "Oh, I want to get fitter." It's not. That's not how it works. That's kind of like saying for nutrition, like why do we eat protein? And you say to build muscle. Yeah. Right? Like, nope, close. It's one that's part of it, but that's not the whole answer. So he's really steering for that. So I think like it's something that I really hope takes off. I think it had a lot of momentum this year at Worlds in Sweden. There were some really big CrossFit names, which helps because those CrossFit athletes have massive Instagram followings. Yes. And the more people hear about it and see about it, the better. So that's what we were up to with that.
Yeah. Super cool, man. And we'll link to all those guys you mentioned.
Cool.
On Instagram. Still figuring out the YouTube, but I'm sure we can do it on there too.
Yeah, I can figure it out.
Hit us up if you're a YouTube whiz.
Yeah, please help us out.
You go. You go. What were you going to say?
I was wondering what seminars you have coming.
Yeah. I'm doing kind of the full series, if you will, at Salis Studio, it's called, that's in Seaforth, Ontario.
Oh,
so
cool.
We're going to do a shout out to Mandy Layton. She's the owner there. Also wicked. One of those ones that is ahead of the curve, if you will, in that she prioritizes, obviously, education for her members, but she herself is also really adamant with continuing education. She's going to courses, getting additional certifications, staying up to date on new and emerging trends, all that type of thing. You still don't see a lot of that, right? I mean, there's so many gym owners, gyms in general, that are just so complacent.
Yeah.
They just don't care. So yeah, shout out to her. She's awesome. Super cool gym too. That's brand new space. Haven't been to the new space, but seeing pictures, it looks amazing. So yeah, we'll do the fat loss one there. I have one on sleep. And then the last one is gut health. So hitting those three. And then I'm doing another one at All Out Training. That's in Seaforth.
Is that Seaforth?
Or sorry, Strathroy. I got Seaforth on my mind. I don't know why. Yeah, Strathroy. That one we're going to start with sleep. So we did a survey, see what the people want most, and I guess they want to improve their sleep. So.
Out of those three?
Yeah.
Big sleep?
Yeah. I think there was one or two options in there because I do have others, but that was what they wanted to see. So
yeah,
sleeping all the way through the night, not waking up several times, waking up feeling refreshed, getting to sleep, long list of things, what to eat before bed, what not to eat, circadian rhythm, all that fun stuff. So yeah. Let's talk about, we've been doing a lot of collabs too.
Yeah.
Get into some of those.
We have been. We're just doing stuff. I don't know, having some fun.
Yeah.
Spreading some fitness around. What do we do first? What was our first thing again? We did that seminar. we started with this podcast about
Yeah.
a year ago. Then we did that seminar. Then we worked some VIP clients.
Yeah, we thought, why not?
Why not
It's
throw
a
it all
logical
together?
thing. Why not have clients where we do a collab and give them both their nutrition and workouts, and both are complementary. So they each feed into one another and they each adapt based on what is happening with the other one.
Mm-hmm.
It's been good so far.
It's been a lot of fun. It's really cool because I get to see a little bit more of what you do and understand it a little bit just with like the questions that you ask people, and then how you respond to their answer. I mean, I got to see your questionnaire for the first time, and that's the most extensive thing I've ever seen in my life. That's so sick.
Massively shortened, by the way.
That's crazy. It's not too long. That's not what, it's long enough. It's as long as it needs to be. Because like you said, you took out a lot of the stuff that you thought maybe wasn't as necessary, I guess, but
yeah,
it's awesome. So there's like little things that we do. We use a program called True Coach to do this. And basically what Chet does is he goes and plugs in their nutrition stuff as a workout, essentially, where they can type in the results and how they're feeling. So I'm just going to give you guys an example of a competition day for someone that was competing last weekend. So their nutrition workout had multiple parts. So I'll just read the parts. There was a little bit about what to do upon waking up, a couple options there, a couple different variables. So say like if you're eating 2 hours before your first event, or if you're not going to eat at all, or if you're going to eat before then. So there's options there as well so that the client can kind of make it their own. Some hippy dippy shit like drinking your coffee outside with bare feet in the sun. Get those electrons up, get that vitamin D.
Which, by the way, there is a lot of science behind that. Is literally just being in contact with the earth. I do, though. I call it hippy dippy shit because it totally sounds hippie, right? Like,
yeah.
Why would I go stand in the grass with my bare feet? But you're literally absorbing electrons, and every time you make energy, every time you make that ATP, you need electrons. So let's get some of those into you. And it's what, I mean, a lot of this stuff, though, is people already intuitively know it. Like, why do you feel so damn good when you spend the entire day outside at the beach or at the cottage? Or I realize there's also like often you're on holidays, but I mean, even just, I mean, think of a day where maybe it was a work day and you spent more of it or most of it outside. Like you just feel better, right? And it's because of some of these reasons. Like you get that natural sunlight, maybe you're in the water, that's even better.
Yeah.
It's nothing new.
No, and I mean, just speaking for that, like, Kale and I went back to her hometown, Kelowna, in the summer, and I've never felt better than when I'm there. And it has nothing to, I mean, Kelowna is beautiful and it's perfect in every single way. But aside from that, I don't think I wore shoes unless, I didn't even wear them at the gym often unless I needed them because we were doing like box jumps or something.
Yeah.
So I didn't wear shoes for like 17 days. I rarely wore a shirt. I was outside all the time. We were hiking, mountain biking, walking the dog, in the lake, surfing, like just being a little bit more connected to nature. And that doesn't have to, but like I felt like $1 million jumping out of bed in the morning, going to bed at like 9:30. I felt incredible the whole 2 weeks or the whole however long we were out there, I forget. But
that's a good example because you were still working when you were there, right?
Yeah, I'm still working.
Like you were doing the same amount of work you would do at home.
Yeah, minus coaching. Yeah. So I was doing it like 3 or 4 hours on the computer every day.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was kind of working a little bit. But yeah, I think that it's like that hippy dippy shit is like a little mini vacation for yourself in the middle of your day.
Yeah, totally.
To kind of like recharge and just reconnect. And you can take it as hippie as you want, right? Like you can go into like the
if you
whole hums and the whatevers, but like you don't have to go that far.
Yeah. It's all the little things I think they add up. That's the other thing. I think people hear these things and think, fuck, that's not going to do anything. Well, if you just do that one thing, maybe not. But when you combine it with 10 other things that have a similar impact, those are going to add up. And that's together is all going to make a difference.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a training program. Like if you do just push-ups, you'll probably see a little bit, but it's not going to be massive. But if you start combining that with squats, pull-ups, deadlifts, it's additive.
Right. Yeah. And you have to have the right intention behind anything. Just like there's no perfect training program, there's no perfect nutrition program, but there's like we can find things that work for people differently. And I stand behind this 1,000%. I'm trying to do the same thing now that I'm home to kind of emulate that as much as possible.
I do my best.
Feeling. Yeah.
Full disclosure, I'm certainly not perfect. I usually have to convince myself to go outside, and I try and go outside first thing in the morning every day, but it certainly doesn't happen every day. But I can tell you that I never regret it when I do.
Right. 100%.
Same idea as working out. We all have that. I like it. Joe Rogan always talks about this. He always talks about that. A couple different names for it. Like it's internal resistance is what it is when you're driving from work to the gym, or you're at home thinking about going to the gym and you don't want to, even though you know how good you'll feel afterwards. Even if you're someone who loves working out, you'll certainly get that sometimes, maybe more often than others. But so I was going to say the other thing, he just calls it like your inner bitch sometimes too. Yeah. So he always talks about it because if you know Joe Rogan, like he's also like a fitness fanatic, like loves working out, loves running, but he still says like every single day before he does that, he still has a little bit of that inner contemplation or inner bitch saying, I don't want to go work out. And obviously overcomes it, but it's a natural thing. So if you feel that way, just deal with it.
Yeah, because it is just that. It's just a feeling.
Yeah,
it doesn't actually carry any weight to it. It's just like you choose what you want to do.
Yeah,
that guy. He's a complete savage. Like he's a killer on so many levels. Like he kills it with his stand up. He kills it with his podcast. He is literally a killer. Like the guy in terms of like martial arts ability. That dude is incredible. He has a black belt. I think it's 10th planet, which is like it's absurd. Eddie Bravo is like.
Yeah,
stupid, but it's unbelievable. Full circle to the VIP program. We're back. So that same day, you got some notes on vitamin C, how much, when, EAAs, and then some nutrition advice throughout the event. Lots of different options. It's not like this is when you have to do it. This is how. But it's just that combined with the fitness programming is kind of what the VIP people get. On our team right now, on the VIP team, we have like super busy professional mom who trains so much that we're working on getting her to not train as much and train with a little bit more intention, which she's been incredibly open to. And just a perfect client, really, like open to anything and tries everything. We got shift workers, we got ex-pro athletes, we got I call occupational athletes.
Yeah.
So like police, fire, EMS, that sort of thing. Definitely. Where like at any point in time in their day, they have to be able to go from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah. Those are definitely some of the fun challenges though, really, is how do we change things based on their crazy fluctuating schedule,
right,
and making it work.
Yeah. So the VIP program is like 100% to that person, their schedule, their fitness program, their nutrition program, and we just kind of like collaborate back and forth and make tweaks and changes and things like that. It's been fun, but we don't have any more room for that. It takes a lot of time for us. and it's a lot of effort on both sides. Like the athletes do way more work than we do when it comes to this.
Well,
program,
even just
for sure.
be fair for them. Like it wouldn't be fair for them if you have to obviously have a capacity for something like that. Like you can only work with, if you're a teller, a banker, whatever, you can only work with so many clients in a day, one-on-one, right? So, yeah. It's fun though. And from like a just general fitness, CrossFit perspective, I don't think there's not a lot of that going on. Like there is, you obviously have your bigger programs on both camps that offer fitness and nutrition. There's not a lot of collabs out there, I don't think, just to kind of shamelessly pump our own tires right now. But seriously, there's not a lot. Like you have like your working against gravity, you have your, what's the other big one?
For nutrition?
RP
strength, yeah.
And those are like, they're standalone, right? I know there's the odd collab where they'll join up with like Brood or something, but I don't think that they're not working together. They're giving you your nutrition, and they're not really looking at how your training changes on a weekly basis.
Right.
And I think that's a massive, people are missing out in my opinion, but
yeah, I think so too. And even like a side thing for it too, we just had one of our athletes get injured. Mm-hmm. So now we're working together on their healing. Like our focus is making
totally different.
Yeah. It completely shifts. So it changes like where you're at in terms of your season. Are you hurt? Are you trying to like come back from something?
Yep.
Are you just getting beat up? Do you need somebody to pull the reins back on you? Like it's been fun because there's so many different personalities. Just I'm looking at the list right now. It's like they're completely different people. In every single way.
It's true. Yeah.
And it's been a fun little project.
Well, and we were talking about kind of questions and feedback and how we use to assess. And I would say a perfect example would be, so let's just say if I, like hypothetically, if I'm asking someone kind of how well, let's use this as an example, like very vaguely, I'm asking them kind of how well recovered they feel. I'd go a little bit more in depth than that, but to use that as an example, and then they say, feel like shit today, really beat up, poorly recovered. Well, the beauty is I can actually go into their week's programming, look at their volume, how much like total weight were they putting up, how many gymnastics, was there some new movements in there, are they used to this load, and say either, well, no shit, like you should feel a little beat up and that's totally okay because that's part of the adaptation, or say, well, this is continuation of a similar progression, maybe not a lot of extra volume compared to previous weeks you felt good, this week not so much, something's going on, so we got to change something.
Right.
And I just don't see how other programs would be able to identify those flaws.
Yeah, especially not like we use the same platform, and I see everything that you say to them, everything you put in, you can see everything that I put in, right down to like cueing a video of them doing snatches. Like you'll see that too. And I mean, you can hop in and give your 2 cents. Also, I like hop in and joke with people a little bit every now and then because I mean, these people, like we know them, like they've really become friends of ours too through this whole thing, because this is like a whole different level that even like I did a lot of individualized programming before, but just the fitness side. But this is like we kind of know like everything that's going on, and the level of like honesty and trust that has opened up from these clients compared to clients that I've worked with in the past. I just don't think there's the same connection all the time. But this is like every single one of them is just.
That's what happens when you ask people about their shit.
That's
like
true.
Literally,
everything about
their bowel movements. It gets intimate.
Yeah, not just what time, but
and if they get boners in the morning.
Yeah. So hopefully. Else you got some fixing to do.
We're working on other stuff though.
Yeah, we're working on some stuffs.
And actually, so we are working on something that's more so geared towards people that aren't focused solely on CrossFit.
Yes.
Right, and competing, and
100%.
Because that's an important cohort. We kind of it's easy for us to get kind of wrapped up in that community and people that always do the open, always compete, want to do better in competitions, and kind of lose sight that, I mean, really, that's probably still a minority compared to the amount of people that just want to be fit, to be healthy.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's even, like, is it a minority in comparison to the number of people that exercise? Huge. Like, maybe 1% or less. And then just being at a CrossFit gym, there's not everyone that's at the CrossFit gym wants to do the open.
That's right.
Not very many people want any part in that at all, because their purpose in fitness has nothing to do with being competitive at all. And it's impossible to do the open and not be competitive in some way, shape, or form. Those two things will never go. You can say whatever you want. You have to have some sort of a competitive side to your actual fitness performance to do the open. And then on the other side of it, it's not the best idea for everyone all the time.
No.
Competitive fitness isn't for everyone.
No.
And it shouldn't be talked about like it is for everyone. Why we recommend signing up for the open at the gym is more for the community fun aspect of the whole idea. It's not to push people to do what they're incapable of doing, because we're prepping them for what they're going to be doing right now in the programming at the gym. But it's more of like this. Let's do this fun thing together and have some excitement built around the training. I think the timing of this open helps with that compared to having it in the spring, especially like just our climate in general. Like this time of year, everyone's kind of going back to school. It gives people a little bit more of a push to stay consistent and
throughout the summer.
And then now in the crazy times where people are back to school, back to hockey, back to extracurricular, whatever, chess club, whatever's going on with their kids and with themselves, it helps with the consistency a little bit. Just knowing that they have this coming up, something that they're working hard with their friends to prepare for. So I think it's good from that perspective. But this program is going to be focused on people that do not care about competitive fitness at all, really could care less about CrossFit as a brand and a training methodology. And they're focused more on a general strength and conditioning program for health, longevity, vitality, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I think one of the useful thing, or I should say one of the rationale behind why we wanted to do this is because, well, I think it's kind of similar to what we were talking about in regards to the VIP, in that you'll find lots of workout programs, you'll find lots of nutrition programs, some good, some shitty, but the point is they're usually separate. You often won't find one that's, again, put together, complementary, one based off of the other. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do it. Also, because there is so many shitty ones out there. So it's like, hey, let's put our experiences to good use here, our knowledge to good use here, and help people learn and benefit. And a lot of people were interested in it, I think, too. I'm sure you get the same, like probably get a lot of requests from people just kind of casually like, hey, like, can you write me up like a training plan or a program? Or I don't want to like really commit to the full thing, but like, I know what you have to offer. I know you have experience, and I'm wondering if you can help me out. And I don't know about you, again, probably very similar to me. Like, you don't always have time for that, right? Like, just that's as simple as it is. You can't.
Yeah.
And so it's, how can we write up plans that would be useful for these people, but that are still miles better than all the generic plans out there. So like within plans, have options based on your experience, even based on your body composition, like which path would you go down to benefit you? So that's one of the things we've been working on, is like, how can you make it as individualized as possible while still making it work for a wide range of people?
Right. Yeah. And what I found from like the fitness half of it, because that's the half that I'm focusing on, is just creating like really clear expectations of who this program isn't for.
Yeah.
And who the program is for, which we've talked about. Like this, if you care about CrossFit and the skills for CrossFit, like if you care about muscle ups, if you care about toast bar, if you care about double unders, if you care about snatches, don't do this program. It's not for you.
Yeah.
You're going to have a terrible time. You'll be not getting what you want out of your training program. Now, if you want to focus on like getting stronger using compound movements that aren't machine based, so like free weight movements that you have access to it at any gym. Focus on creating like some sort of, a lot of people, how people are like, oh, that's my weak side. Well, you shouldn't have that.
Yeah.
Right. Really, there should be no, if somebody's like, well, what's your strong leg? Don't use like the leg you kick within soccer as your strong leg. Like you should have two strong legs that are equally as strong as each other. So bringing that back to balance, say, a lot of people, life happens, right? You get injuries, you fall on the ice, you break your wrist, whatever. Your right arm, say you break your right arm, if you don't properly rehab that and build the strength back up, of course it's going to be weaker, but don't accept that your right arm's your weak arm. Like make that arm more capable by training it the way that you need to. And then just basic core function stuff like how to brace properly, to decrease the chances of you injuring yourself. Obviously, there's no injury-proofing program out there, regardless of what you see on the old interwebs.
Yeah.
No exercise you do is going to make you decrease your chances of hurting yourself, but what it does is it just increases the resiliency of your body.
Yeah.
It increases your awareness of how to move better in safe positions so that you're not putting yourself in an environment where an injury could happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you slip on ice and land on your wrist, you're probably going to break your wrist no matter how strong you are. That's not injury prevention, but like just teaching your body to move better and be stronger can help you be a little bit more resilient just in everyday life. So that's like the fitness side of this program. Again, it's not like, Fran and you're not going to be doing 200 wall balls in a workout and stuff like that. That's not the focus. So if that's the stuff you like, you really dig that shit, then again.
I should also mention that if your major goal is to kind of just get lean, cut up, yoked, you don't even need to ever do something like a Fran. That's what people get so confused about. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, and I'm sure it'll come up more. It'll come up with some of our guests too, which would be interesting. But people think, and we kind of briefly mentioned this at the start, but people think that the leaner you want to get, the more volume you need, and especially the more aerobic and conditioning you need. But that's just not how it is at all. It's the total opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone needs a little bit of aerobic conditioning. It's just that good for you, and it is still burning energy. It's energy out, and so that's going to help your energy balance. But you just don't have to beat the shit out of your body all the time to get there. Sometimes, like we already said, less is more. Train smart, and resistance training is really your best weapon if you want to get yoked and lean and all that fun stuff.
Absolutely. And then the cool thing with that is you're going to have nutrition to go hand in hand with that training program to help you along that journey of finding that like vitality point, because that's the focus, right? The focus is like, so vitality from a nutrition standpoint, like that would mean focusing on what am I trying to say?
Like a rapid calorie cut or something, like get shredded. Yeah.
Okay. So like this isn't, you're not going to get like a get shredded nutrition program with this. Like what would somebody expect to see?
So my major goal is to help people figure out how to stay lean 365 days a year, have that body composition they want just full time. Because people think that you need to go through these constant bulks and cuts. I'm not saying you can't do that. Like you can absolutely do that, whether it's for competition or even just for fun, like, or even to meet a weight class for, whatever, martial arts, just because you like experimenting. All that stuff's totally cool. I have nothing against that. I just think that people think that that's necessary to be at a body composition that they want to be. Well, no, you can just live that way. So that's the goal with this. And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 3 weeks or 60 days. You can do it. You can be well on your way in a couple months, absolutely. But it takes some learning and some new habits, and that's my main priority on the nutrition side of things.
Cool. Yeah, and your patience has to increase the more deconditioned you are.
Yeah.
Because your body has to now completely adapt to a whole new
right. Yeah, that's totally
everything.
True. Yeah.
Right. Like, you might be spending some more time on the toilet than you're used to at the beginning. Right. Like there's just a bunch of adjustment, like a lot of, and it's funny, but like even little things like making water intake recommendations.
Yeah.
The most pushback I would get from that is like, I'm always going to pee. It's like, well, how often did you pee before? Like, like once or twice a day. It's like, what?
Someone told me I went to Guelph. Was that? Yeah, just yesterday because I'm working with the hockey team again.
Oh yeah.
And someone was telling me a story. I don't even remember who it was now. It was so they have some hydration experts working with the team this year because they're doing a study from a lab at Guelph with the team. So wicked cool working with those guys. But they were telling me a story about, so they work with a lot of professional athletes too, these PhDs, NHL teams and what have you. And they were telling me a story about, I can't even remember the name, but it was a high-end basketball player who, same thing, doing hydration work, whatever. And he would say that he always feels like, weak, tired, a little bit off, doesn't necessarily have the best energy, but was still one of like the top players. And they just asked him like, when do you take your first pee of the day? And he was kind of hummed and hawed and thought, well, usually not until I come to practice. And practice was at like 11:30 and he gets up at like 7:38 a.m. So dehydrated that he did not have to take a pee until that late into the day. And like as an athlete, right? Like
my God.
So yeah, anyways, point of that story is I was certainly guilty when I first started doing this of overlooking some of the basics like that, like the hydration, the fiber intake, probably those two, but the hydration for sure. And yeah, I think a lot of people, like you said, they totally overlook that and don't appreciate the importance of that. They wonder why they get cravings and why they're always hungry. Meanwhile, all they've had to drink by 11:30 a.m. is a tiny cup of water and a coffee.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to do anything with that.
Yeah.
Running your engine on empty, basically.
Right.
Like you can survive without food. You cannot survive without water.
No.
You'll be dead real quick. But you can fast for a week and still survive, right? Like,
yeah, if you want.
So that's I don't know if we mentioned what it's called, but it's going to be called the Thrive Program.
Yep.
Because we out here thriving.
Yeah.
This idea.
So stay tuned for that. But we're also going to have like we said earlier, like just a lot more content in general. So we hope that you guys will get on one of our email lists because we'll give you, if you miss a podcast, for example, we'll give you updates. What did you miss? A summary. Maybe give you a little lowdown, like whether or not you want to spend the time to listen to that podcast or if like the Cliff Notes quote unquote edition is good enough for you.
Right. Yeah.
So just kind of keep your eyes peeled for that because we'll have a lot more content in there, free content, lots of good stuff.
Yeah, we have a bunch of content built up just from, we've been at this for a little while.
Yeah.
Spreading this knowledge in other ways. So we want to get it to you guys. The only really way for us to do that, though, is either through this podcast or you guys giving us, dropping us those emails.
Yeah.
When we post on social media, we'll have a really good system set up here real soon to get that content out to you guys in a timely fashion, and just kind of, it'll be a little bit tailored to what you're looking for as well, which is kind of cool.
Should we give them a little kind of teaser sneak peek of some of the guests we have in store? Not really, not any names, just maybe a little bit about what's coming.
Yeah. So I've been talking with the man responsible for hundreds of thousands of people learning the essential skills for CrossFit.
That's good. Yeah, good teaser.
And another fella who will bust all the myths about injury and rehab.
Yep.
And well, so we got some people from varying athletic backgrounds coming to speak on experience.
Yep. Some high level Olympic weightlifters.
Cool. Yeah.
Strong as shit people.
Yeah. Learning how to get the way that they are.
Yeah.
How they got there.
That's
What's their story.
Fellow London entrepreneurs, I would say, also in the health and fitness space. Some who also went to Western too.
Yeah.
Some other wicked smart strength and conditioning coaches that have a range experience in a range of different fields, really. Hockey, some other sports. So yeah,
we got a lot on the docket here. We got lots of people that
then you don't have to just listen to us every single week.
Yeah, lots of different perspectives. Fun. I mean, we had a little mini conversation in the office today with a couple of our members, and now I want to have them on the podcast.
I know. Yeah.
Just a whole
so if you guys are listening.
Yeah, whole different perspective. And it's another topic that I really just enjoy being devil's advocate. I don't really have an opinion right or left about it, but it's just fun. I just like talking about it and hearing the whys behind why that person would feel that way, or what led them to think that would be true. Stuff like that. So
yeah, and I think some of the best podcasts, definitely some of the best ones I've ever listened to just from other shows, are often ones where the people talking don't necessarily fully agree on everything.
Right.
And I'm not talking about like a full-blown debate, which they have on Joe Rogan, which is also, I like those too, but just ones where people are just having a conversation about, or even just having a conversation about things that both parties, one or the other, doesn't know a lot about. It's kind of like a learning education session. I like those too.
Yeah, because for the most part, we agree with each other.
Yeah, usually.
It's not very often that we have opposing views.
Let's get some debates going on here.
Yeah. Cool. Back at it. Season 2, kicking her off.
Hell yeah.
This will be on YouTube also, so we'll share some links out for that business. YouTube's really going to help us out a lot. So if you guys could slide on over to the YouTube machine and give us a little like and a comment, maybe that'd be dope.
Yeah, I don't think we even mentioned that we have an Instagram page now either.
Oh yeah, we got an Instagram page.
Which, by the way, speaking of content, we've actually fucking posted quite a bit of content on there already that is totally separate from the podcast. So
yeah,
check it out.
Yeah, we're trying to get as much stuff into your hands as possible and just keep this conversation going.
Cool. We need like a closing statement.
Yeah. Like, wazam.
We'll come up with something. So bye for now.